everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you're all doing well. Well, guys, we have got a super fun topic for today. If I look a little distracted, it's because I forgot to set up my Rumble configuration again. And so I'm just saving my Rumble configuration. Hopefully I have changed that correctly, and hopefully now we are streaming on Rumble as well. You know, Rumble is the only platform where I literally have to change my configuration every single time I stream to it. Rumble should really work on that because they're done stealing Odyssey's user interface now. Rumble has a new user interface. It is legitimately very much better than their previous user interface because it looks exactly like Odyssey's website. I'm sorry, Rumble stole the user interface of Odyssey, and you are not going to change my mind off of that. It looks exactly the effing same. I don't know, like, this is a side note, because I will forever be on the side of Odyssey in this particular dispute. Rumble has got some fucking nerve. After threatening to sue Odyssey, when Odyssey tweeted something they don't like, to then go and steal Odyssey's user interface, it looks exactly the effing same. But you know what? That is a different topic for a different day. I am no fan of Rumble. I know the people on Rumble are good. I'm not making a judgment of the people on Rumble. I'm making a judgment of the platform itself, which is exactly the type of platform that I would expect conservatives to create. I will just leave it at that. But guys, we have got, it's a Monday. It's a Monday. We're still relatively early on in the year. I was like, why don't we do a nice light topic today? Why don't we do something where it'll just get us into the week? We're going to talk about transmaxxing. Now, we were treated to the transmaxxing movement last week. Actually, I kind of heard about this like months ago, which I said on the stream last week. I heard about this stuff happening months ago. I just hadn't looked into it. It was on my list of things to do, and I just hadn't gotten to it yet. But luckily for us, the journalists over at piratewire.com did it for us. And they found a community of incels, involuntarily celibate, that are so desperate to get laid that they are inducing gender dysphoria in themselves and transitioning to women because they don't think they're ever going to be able to get laid as men. And so, yes, Gabs, you told me this was happening. Gabrielle Clark knew this was happening months ago, and she tried to tell people and no one would listen. That is the truth. We had like a 2-hour phone call one day where I was like sitting on the floor in my dining room having panic attacks because Gabrielle Clark was explaining to me that this was happening. And I was like, no, I don't want to know about this. She was right. And not only was she right, there is a 73-page manual that explains how to go. Let's just find a good good graphic. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on this on my Substack. There it is. How about that one? It explains how you can go from incel to taking dick for the first time as a trans woman, so at least you lose your virginity. It explains the entire process of transitioning. It explains how they induce gender dysphoria. We're going to take a look at some of this manual today, guys. But something funny happened. And listen, man, I have to give a shout out to the transmaxxing community. I really do. Because I posted a clip from the stream I did last week today. And the person who wrote this manual commented on it. And he said, I apologize. I don't know what your pronouns are. I really don't. I'm trying to be like, you know, you guys know I do actually tend to respect pronouns when they're given to me. I try to, like, sometimes I screw up because it's not grammatically correct and that messes me up, but I do try to be respectful. Anyway, the person who wrote this manual commented on my channel today saying, I've posted interviews with journalists on my YouTube channel, and I went to we're gonna call their YouTube channel, and sure enough, talk with transmaxers about race and white culture, transmaxing interview with journalist, talk about transmaxing. Now, I want to try to watch at least one of these videos. The thing of it is the guy who wrote this manual has a really thick German accent. Okay? And so it's not the easiest thing in the world to like understand him. But I thought them, God, I'm screwing up the pronoun thing already. It's not the easiest thing in the world to understand them. But we might give it a try to watch at least one of those videos or at least make some progress to it because I think that it would be very interesting to hear their perspective. And I asked this person, I said, "Will you come on my channel and talk to me? I'll be totally polite. Maybe captions, Reagan, that's a really good idea." I offered, I was like, "Do you want to come on my channel and talk to me?" I will be polite because honestly, listen, man, I think this is crazy. I really do. However, the people that are doing this are doing it because they don't see any other option. And so I'm not going to sit here and say I think they're like bad people. I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they're immoral people. I think it's a little wacky, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. I don't agree with it. I think they have better ways, better paths that they can take if they want to get sex. I mean, like anyone can get spoiler alert, guys, anyone can find sex whenever they really want it. They really, really can. But I do wanna be respectful of other people's, beliefs and perceptions of the world, and I'm kinda fascinated by this. How is it possible that we are raising young men to believe, for some of them, that the only way that they can get sex is by medically transitioning to a woman because that's the only way they're gonna it's just it really even if they're not trans. And by the way, I want to say this up front, I don't have any problem with trans people. I don't care if you're trans. I want you to be happy. I want you to live your best life, be your best self, wear whatever clothes you want, get whatever surgeries you want, as long as you're an adult. I don't care. It's none of my business. I just think this whole thing though is a little bit sad. And so we're going to talk more about that. We're going to do a deep dive into that today. But what I wanted to start with is Naruto has already set me up with a super chat. Are you going to watch the 1619 project and mock it relentlessly? Well, Naruto, I kind of feel like I'm obligated to, aren't I? What is Naruto talking about? Well, let me I haven't seen this yet. Let me get this up. Hulu, in conjunction with Lionsgate, is launching a 16, did I say 1719? 1619, you all knew what I meant. Hulu is launching a 1619 project show. You cannot tell the story of America without telling the story of Black America. From Onyx Collective and Pulitzer Prize winning journalist for journalism that's now been factually debunked as inaccurate, the 1619 project premieres on January 26th. Let's watch this 1-minute preview.
They say our people were born on the water. Like nothing had existed before.
The New York Times published
the 1619 project.
The legacy of slavery.
We were told by virtue of our bondage, we could never be American. But it was by virtue of our bondage that we became the most American of all. You cannot tell the story of America without telling the story of Black America. We are the story of America. This is the 1619 Project.
Well, isn't that nice? I'm sure that definitely won't be woke as shit. I'm sure that definitely won't be woke at all. Am I gonna watch it and mock it? I mean, I don't want to get a copyright strike on my channel or anything like that. Maybe, maybe. But do I really want to sit through 6 hours of that? I mean, that might be worse than like the Harry and Meghan Markle miniseries. By the way, did anyone see the interview with Harry last night? It's crazy to watch that stuff. Side note, like some of you know, like I'm obsessed with like royal stuff. I fucking love it. I love it. I'm mostly into like the historical stuff and the tiaras and the jewelry and all that stuff. I know it's like my only girly thing that I do. I know. Harry is in a cult, yo. He is in a cult of two people. That woman has brainwashed him. It's sad to watch. I feel bad for him. I really, really do. Because Harry is going to wake up one day and he's going to realize that he married a narcissist and that she has inflicted so much pain and hurt on him and his family. And he's not going to know what to do. And I feel bad. Oh man. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that today. But guys, welcome to the stream. Please mount that like button for me if you would be so kind. Couple quick announcements before we get started. Number one, I need you all to mark your calendars. Thursday, 6:30 p.m. We are doing Spy Stream. Spy Stream is when I infiltrate a live woke training and I stream it live on the internet as one does. This is a private training. This is a ticketed training. I had to sign up under a fake name and everything. And I cannot tell you what the training is right now because I don't want someone to report back to the trainer and kick me out of the training. We're not letting but trust me. Trust me. If you have ever learned anything from me, if you have ever trusted me in your life, I need you to trust me now. You are going to want to see this training. I was horrified when I discovered what this is. And we will be infiltrating it live on Thursday, starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So the stream is going to start a little later. I may do a pregame. We're going to have to see. But I need everyone to be there. I'm not going to tell you what it is until the very last minute, but trust me. I will be telling in my locals call later. If you're on in my locals or my Patreon and we do our community Zooms at 7 p.m., then I will tell you what it is in my community supporter call at 7 p.m. It is teachers could attend. It is not specifically a teacher training. No, it's not. But guys, trust me, I cannot wait. I really can't wait. No, that's not all I plan to do, but if you're going to keep complaining in my chat, I'm more than happy to take care of that problem because don't think I haven't seen you complaining in my chat the whole time. You know the rules, guys. Don't be a dick and no whining. And what you are doing right now is absolutely whining and it's going to stop. All right, guys. Now, speaking of my community, if you would like to get invited to that call where you will get advanced notification about what the Mystery Spy Stream webinar is, what you need to do is head over to activelyunwoke.com/support. You can get access to the call by joining my locals community, $5 a month, $50 a year. This helps me keep me in business and doing the work I'm doing. You can also join my Patreon community, anywhere from $5 a month all the way up to $250 a month, depending on what perks you want on any given day. $5 a month will get you into the community call. You can also join on Substack. Now, I don't have a good way to get my Substack people into the community calls yet. So if you just join on Substack, you're not going to get into the community Zoom. But if your goal is that you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, I do have a goal this month that I really would like to get 100 paying supporters on my Substack, 100 new monthly paying supporters. And in order to help you out, I've put together a little weekly newsletter that I'm going to be sending out, just outlining the Unwoke content that I've created in the previous week, putting it all in one place, making it easier for everyone to find. You get a preview of what I'm going to be working on this week. This week, I've got that spy stream on the schedule. I'm writing another article in my Woke Mind series. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the Transmaxx document on my Substack, so you can actually read it and see it. And no matter how many people complain, that's not like, I'm still going to do it anyway. We're obviously going to do this video. I'm going to be recording some podcast episodes. We got some other stuff going on. You can find this link pinned to the top of the chat on my YouTube right now. And if you'd like to become a paid subscriber on Substack, you can do that again, $5 a month, $50 a year. And that helps keep me in business, guys. And I do want to keep all of the articles on my Substack open and free for everyone, but I need people to step up, because in 2023, I want to make this my full-time job. It hasn't been for a while. I've been driving myself crazy trying to do multiple things. I can't do it anymore. And so if you guys want me being a full-time unwoke activist, writing content like this, creating content to help you fight back against woke insanity in your life, to help understand it, explain it to your friends, your family, even dipping your toes in activism yourself, you can become a paid supporter on my Substack. You can join my locals. You can join my Patreon. And if I don't get 100 new paying supporters on my Substack this month, and believe me, this is a very reasonable goal. We're already about 40% of the way there, okay? We're talking $5 a month here. I am going to start putting a paywall on my Substack. All right. Now, if you're a member of my locals and my Patreon, you will always get all the paywall content. So don't worry about that. You don't need to support on multiple platforms. I'm going to make sure you guys have access to all of the articles. But I really do want to keep it free for everyone. I'm asking those with the financial ability to step up and become a paid subscriber. And that would be really great. And let me put this little ticker in the bottom just to remind you. And I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it very much. All right. So I want to just look at this document a little bit. Let's just start doing a deep dive into this document. And if people don't want to read the PDF, Bren, they don't have to. You can go watch something else. But when you have a manual for something that's 73 pages long, people are going to read it. But before we dig into the document, I want to say this generally. So I was involved in a Twitter Spaces last week where I basically, like, I posted this page that you're looking right now to Twitter last week, and it kind of went a little bit viral. It got like almost 1,000 retweets or something like that. It got over 100,000 views, things like that. And so it got a fair bit of attention. I was pretty pleased with it. But because that tweet went viral, I got invited to a Twitter Spaces to talk about, like, is the only thing that men can do to transition, is that the only option they have left? And I think that's a silly notion. If you're legitimately trans and you would feel more comfortable living life as a woman, then fine, transition. I don't really care. Like, live your best life. But, like, for people saying that the only option that men today have is to transition, that's not true. And for people doing something like Tristan is doing, not everyone can get sex, that's not true either. It's just not true. It's not true at all. And one of the things that that happened in that space was that there was an incel in the space. I don't know if he was, I don't know if he specifically identifies as an incel, but he certainly seemed to be part of this community. And one of the things that he was saying is that all of the statistics on all of the dating websites say that men don't have a chance when it comes to dating, and all of the statistics around marriage say that it's women who leave the men. And so why even get married to women in the first place if you're just going to end up getting divorced? And one of the things he said to me was, once women sleep with like the Chad, the really hot guy, like the 8 out of 10, the 9 out of 10, like whatever, then they are forever setting a standard for themselves, and they'll never sleep with anything below that. And I could not believe what I was hearing. Someone needs to tell young men that they need to go out into the real world and meet girls in the real world and get off the internet. That is the very best advice that I can give you. You need to get off the internet and go meet people in real life. Dating in real life is not the same as statistics on dating sites. And this notion that once women sleep with the really hot guy, they never sleep with anyone that's less hot than them, that's absurd. That's one of the dumbest things that I have ever heard in my life. Now, listen, I'm a 41-year-old woman now, married, boring, not as thin and cute as I once was. But I will tell you this, in college, I had a lot of fucking sex. I had a lot of sex. And I had sex sometimes with some of the most beautiful men that I've ever seen in my life. Fun fact, men sometimes like tomboys because we're more fun and we're more adventurous and all sorts of reasons. But I have had sex with some of the most beautiful men I have ever seen. Do you know who I married? The average guy. Now, listen, I love the way my husband looks. I really do. I was struck by how handsome I thought my husband was the very first moment that I met him. But the fact is, my husband's not a Chad. He's not. He's an average, normal guy. And he's the one I ended up marrying. And this is true for so many women. Yes, get off the internet is absolutely my solution. You need to go and meet people in real life. You need to go and meet people where you're going to be meeting people around areas that you have a common interest. And if you guys, and I know many of you are new to me, so I'm going to remind you that I have 2 rules in my chat. Number 1, don't be a dick. That means you will not insult me. You will not insult other people in the chat. Number 2, no whining. If what you guys are going to do is sit around and complain on the internet and look at all these statistics that makes it seem like the world is against you in every possible way, and then you're just going to spin each other up because you're only around other people that see the world the way you do, and you've all convinced yourself that you can't get women for some reason, and then you reinforce that to each other constantly all day, every day. I've never been the hottest girl in the room, but I could get beautiful men and I could get sex whenever I wanted to. And I ended up marrying the average guy. And I know a lot of women who would say exactly the same thing. They don't marry the beautiful men. In most cases, you don't marry the beautiful man. For many, many reasons. Because long-term relationships have almost nothing to do with looks. Because guess what, guys? Looks fade. Wrinkles form on the face. Okay, not on my face. I'm not upset about that, by the way. Wrinkles form, weight is gained. You look differently when you're in a long-term relationship than you did when you started the damn relationship. And believing that you're going to look the same and that the hot guy's always going to be the hot guy or the hot girl's always going to be the hot girl, it is foolish. The best thing, as Kino Reviews is saying right now, the best thing that many of you who feel like you can't get women can do is to work on your confidence. One of the ways you can work on your confidence is by getting out from behind the computer screen and go meet people in real life. I met my husband in real life. He was my mover. And some people might look at that and say, oh, he's a mover. He's such a loser. He can't get a real job. He can't get a job that's more financially stable where he wears a collared shirt and goes into an office every day and a tie and all that stuff. I married the average looking mover. And my marriage has been thriving for over 11 years. People who are thinking about doing this or consider themselves incels, you need to know that you can get what you want to get, but you have to take responsibility and you have to stop doing stuff like this and saying, well, statistically, we can't get what we want to get. It's all about statistics. Life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like statistics. Just the way it goes, man. Just the way it goes. But if you guys don't want to take responsibility and you guys instead want to transition your gender, make yourself permanent medical patients because you think this is the only way you're going to be able to get girls or get boys or get whatever you want. I'm not judging who you're sleeping with. I don't really care. Then you get what you get, but don't regret your choices later. Don't regret your choices later, dude. Like all these excuses. Dudes are constantly told they're not allowed to approach women. Who's telling you that? Who's telling you that? Have you ever even tried to approach a woman? Have you ever tried? This is an excuse. This person has probably never actually tried to approach a woman in real life because they have been told on the internet that it won't work. If all you do is complain and then hate them and don't do anything to work on your confidence and don't do anything to learn how to talk to people in real life, you're absolutely right. It won't work. Women don't want men who sit behind a computer screen all day complaining about how they're victims of the world because they don't look like they want to look or they're not as tall as they want to be or any number of other things. If you convince yourself that you will fail before you even try, then you are absolutely correct and you're never going to try and you will fail. So you couldn't have wanted it that bad in the first place. Anyway, let's read the Transmaxxing manual and I will remind our new members of the chat that are here for this, I will treat you respectfully and I will listen to you, but you will not insult me. You will not disrupt my chat. I do not have an unmoderated chat. We don't do things like normal places on the internet here because I'm not going to tolerate it. Really not. And if anyone else wants to try to talk some sense into them in the chat and maybe get them to go outside and go to a cafe or go bowling or go to a gym or go to a fucking fencing class or go take karate or go do something else. I don't fucking know what the sport is or the activity is. Go to a chess club, go play board games. I'm sure there are girls that show up at those things. Meet people in real life. Stop fucking online dating. online dating is one of the worst things that has ever happened to humanity, and I say that as someone who did online dating. I absolutely did do it, and it was a horrible idea every single time. Meet people in real life. All right, let's look at this manual, and then we're gonna watch at least one of those transmaxing videos. Yeah, go dancing. Go take a dance class. That's great advice, Sin. All right, transmaxing. There are many potential benefits from transitioning from male to female. The sexual excitement in having a feminine body. Listen, man, if like you can get off in lots of ways, folks. You don't need to medically transition to get off. The superiority of female aesthetics. I'm not going to argue that they're superior, okay? Access to the transbian dating pool, full body orgasms, multiple orgasms. I mean, well, it is true that women do have more intense orgasms than men. So, I mean, I suppose that that's something, but that's not everything. You will feel emotions stronger and be happier on estrogen. I think that would probably be for the person. Your breasts will become more sensitive. Being able to attract cis lesbians if you become attractive enough. You guys want to attract lesbians. No offense, lesbians, but I don't know why any of you would want to attract lesbians. That just seems like a bad idea. Being able to attract high quality males for sex. Okay, I need one of the trans maxers in the chat to explain this to me. If you're transitioning to a girl, like if the only goal is to get sex, then why can't you just have sex with men? Is it because men won't have sex with you when you're still a man and you need to become a woman so men have sex with you? Are you even attracted to men? Because I thought the whole incel thing was about, like, you want to be able to sleep with women, but no women will sleep with you. Well, I'm glad to hear that you didn't. I hope that most people wouldn't. And again, guys, I don't care if you're trans. If you are trans, none of my business. I just don't think that people should be transitioning their gender in order to find sex. Live longer, softer skin, no acne, being able to extract resources from males. So you want to get paid. Okay. Stop and reverse hair loss. People will treat you better if they think you're a female. People will treat you better, huh? Do you know how many times I'm talked over on a daily basis because I'm pretty sure partially because I'm a woman, and I'm not even a woman that's easily talked over, and it still happens all the time. I don't know where men get this idea that women are treated better. I think there is definitely an autogynephilia thing to it. Less likely to get killed, access to female spaces, males are disgusting, and cheaper car insurance. How medical transition affects mating options. Hang on, I need to make this a little bit smaller. Since females have the upper hand on the dating market, transitioning from male to female will usually improve your options when it comes to getting sex. It is this type of stuff that will get you banned in my chat. Now you're going to get not you, Jamie. You're going to get a timeout right now. We're not putting up with that shit. In addition to the sex you enjoy as a female will be of a higher quality. The opposite is true for females transitioning to males. Your sexuality may switch on hormone replacement therapy. If your sexuality stays the same, you always have the option of dating trans girls. There are also plenty of cis girls willing to date trans girls. You also have the option of dating other trans girls. Becoming male to female transsexual is a way better option than being involuntarily celibate as a male. If you do not have autogynephilia as an incel, you can try to induce it. You can watch porn and imagine yourself as a female. There is also a female POV porn that you can try. Many assigned female at birth individuals who transition to male regret it due to social implications. So one of the things about this transmaxing thing is that they really, it's my understanding anyway, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. They really don't want females transitioning to males because that's less women on the market for them to have sex with, presumably, but it's totally fine for men to transition to women when they're not even trans and they just want sex, but they do not want women transitioning to men. How to transition? We're not going to go over that. The experience of becoming female. I don't want to go over that. This is 73 pages long, guys, so we need to be a little judicious. I want to just do a nice overview. And there's lots of medical stuff in this section. How society benefits from people transitioning. People that wish to transition usually have comorbid mental disorders, thus, future generations are likely to benefit from letting those women transition and sterilize themselves in the process. This comes with the cost of using taxpayer money, blah, blah, blah. Males transitioning to females is beneficial for society since it would allow people to have fun fucking them. Incels transitioning to female is good for society since they will become less likely to develop or maintain problematic political beliefs or become violent. They will instead benefit from accelerated hypergamy and genocentrism. Hell Radio lives. Women have acne and hair loss all the time. That is very, very true. That is true. People improving their lives by transitioning is a beautiful thing. Usually, when someone lives a shit life as a male, he will just complain about how women are unfair to him, or he will spend his time on various copes such as video games and anime, hence the need to get off of the internet. It's very rare for miserable males to actually improve themselves via medical transition. It usually takes pretty bad gender dysphoria for them to take action, and every time and even then, many fail to act. Males transitioning to females make the world more beautiful. People that transition and become beautiful benefit from it. People around them will see them improve instead of suffering or killing themselves. Males that transition are politically useful for my goals, maybe also your goals. Trans girls are high in demand and can allow cis lesbians to have biological children with a partner they find attractive. Voluntary chemical castration makes a male less likely to hurt other and himself in the process. And then you see the incel remover, in which the incel, who is submissive, low testosterone, short, hates girls, is unpopular with women, is skinny fat, and a virgin, takes dick for the first time. That's what that says, after taking dick for the first time. Then becomes still submissive, low testosterone, short, but likes guys, popular with men, still skinny fat, but no longer a virgin, which seems to be the only thing that matters. This is a really great attitude to have if you want to go through life alone. Really great attitude if you never want to connect with another human being in your life, and you should probably seek out therapy to find out why you don't want to connect with other people. I find it strange that people rarely object to psychiatry that outright harms people. I object to psychiatry all the time, for the record, and costs billions of dollars each year, but they complain about the government helping trans individuals transition, even though it's one of the few mental health interventions that actually works. I am not like, I don't care if people transition. I don't want the government paying for any of this. I don't want the government paying for lots of things. But also, it's like you're talking about people that aren't even trans. I don't care if trans people transition, but you're not fucking trans. A lot of individuals, this is on forced feminization. A lot of individuals cannot make it as males and will thus be forced to live as female and suffer the brutal social consequences of being male. Hang on, I'm going to read this again. Forced feminization. A lot of individuals cannot make it as males and will thus be forced to live as female or suffer the brutal social consequences of being male. This is especially true for females with gender dysphoria. They might not like the female bodies, but medical transition would be a disaster for them. Well, if you want to send me the newest one, I don't. This is the one that was in the article, dude, so I don't know what to tell you. This is what we're working from today. If there is a more recent one that you would like me to work from, I am in your Discord now. It's just my name. I would be more than happy to look at it and use that to do the deep dive article that I want to write after this. But this is what we have to work with for today. Most males are no longer needed in our modern society. Technology has made name strength mostly obsolete, and most males do not have mental abilities not commonly found in females. That doesn't mean you don't need men in society. Everything is about balance. Every single person has both masculine aspects and feminine aspects to themselves. All right. We need masculine and we need feminine. We need men. We need women. To say we don't need men in society is completely and totally wrong. Less than 10% of males are needed for sex and reproduction. Most males are just a burden to society, and thus we need to increase the number of males that transition to female, especially individuals who would clearly benefit from changing their biological sex. Bro. You're trying to rationally justify something that goes against humanity. You cannot justify mass transitioning of people who aren't trans by saying that less than 10% of males are needed for sex and reproduction and most males are just a burden to society. That is completely untrue. This whole world is a fantasy. I can't say this enough. And listen, I'm really trying to be sympathetic here because I understand that the people who gravitate to this sort of thing, you do it because I totally sympathize with the fact that you've had negative experiences. I really, really do. I get it, man. Being the geek in high school is not an easy thing to go through. Being a geek in your 20s is not an easy thing to go through. I really do understand it. But it gets better. You don't need to transition your gender to live a perfectly happy and normal life. But if all you do is spend time all day, every day with people who want to convince themselves that this needs to happen, then you are going to have a very different view of the world. Most males hold in their male pride But that will soon crash down as females raise their standards because they can, and even more males lose jobs to automation. Currently, forced treatments are justified by danger to themselves and others. You do not need to be convicted of an actual crime. If we are going to treat people against their will, that shall include HRT. Hang on, I just want to skip ahead a little bit. A lot of males who would benefit from transitioning, but they are not willing or they're not willing or able to transition. This can be due to social factors, but in most cases, the issue is ignorance. People simply don't know what's best for them. It is a difficult and scary decision to make to start HRT, and this is why a lot of people fantasize about forced feminization. Often they try to brainwash themselves with sissy hypno porn. Let's fast forward a little bit. Alternatives to medical transition. It's no gender's fault. Amazon Eve is really bought into this ideology. You can tell that. You keep saying it's all men's faults by interference uh, with it's about your men's self-confidence. That means you're making it all men's faults with your inferred intent. Then what is women's role in this? Women don't have any role in what you choose to bring to the table. It is not the fault of women if you as an individual refuse to leave your computer. It is not the fault of every woman in the world that you choose to isolate yourself with people who have convinced you that this is the best way to go. You can make different choices. It's not men's fault. It's not women's fault. The only thing we have is as individuals. And you can make a choice to surround yourself with people who believe that medical transition will fix everything. Well, I'm going to tell you, when you're a medical patient at 50, 60, 70, and you've been that way all your life, you may see things very differently. You can spend all your time with people who want to convince you that that's true, or you can get out from under your computer and go exist in the real world. And if you don't want to do that, then nothing anyone says or does, or any statistics, or any information on a dating site, or any statistics about divorce, it doesn't, if you don't want to take responsibility for your life, then nothing is going to make things better. Not transitioning, not staying the same. This is about personal responsibility. Other people are not at fault for your life experience if they have never met you. Alternatives to medical transition. Conversion therapy with regards to gender identity has been tried and it has bad outcomes. Sometimes moving to another place can work for specific gender issues. You may want to avoid getting drafted, having an easier time dating, etc. But this is not general solution since gender roles are rather universal and difficult to avoid. Yes, because there's no such thing as tomboys. There's no such thing as tomboys. Those just don't exist, right, men? Those just don't exist. Then they don't have to. Guess what? Not all women are meant to reproduce either. Here we've got another cartoon with the virgin antidepressant user Frustrated rightist politics, overpriced, kills sex drives, not actually happy, lied to by chemicals, will be forgotten immediately. Seriously, there's millions of you. Pills don't work anyway. Shit clothes, literally no one cares about you. So this is the universe in which these young men are living in all day, every day, with other people like this who are like, no one likes me. Everyone hates me. I'll never have a girlfriend. I'll never have sex. I don't have the right clothes. I don't have the right look. The only thing I can do is transition to a girl. Bro, do you guys have any idea? This is another thing these young men need to hear. God, I've turned into my fucking parents. This manual has made me turn into my mother, and I do not appreciate it. Do you guys know how many women like the geeks? Do you guys know how many women like the nerds? Not all women like the Chad. Not all, in fact, a lot of women do not like the Chad because the Chad spends more time looking in the fucking mirror than they spend with the woman in their life. A lot of women, perfectly nice women, think nerds are cute. They think nerds are smart. They like hanging out with them. They think they're kinder, more empathetic. They're more likely to take care of them. They're much more likely. Nerds are typically much better in bed because they watch so much fucking porn. I'm sorry. The geeks like this, and again, I had a lot of sex in college. The geeks like this are almost universally better in bed than the men who look like gods, because the geeks like this have watched a lot of porn and they've actually thought about it and they actually want to please the woman. The men who look like gods, the narcissist chads, they just want to please themselves. You've got to stop listening to people who tell you that you can't get women. You don't need to look like this to get women. Therapists and psychiatrists can't be trusted. Well, generally, I actually do agree with that. It's probably the only good point so far made in this manual. Sorry, not sorry. Talk therapy is generally questionable. Therapists will put effort into making you conform to society. That's not always true. They will typically not actually look out for your own best interest, and usually you will not actually be given any legitimate advice. That's also not true. Instead, the goal with therapy is typically to make the individual think his or her situation is better than it actually is, rather than putting effort into changing it. That's not true. The goal of therapy is to help you understand yourself better and understand how you need to show up in the world in order to get what you want and to deal with any baggage that might be holding you back from showing up in the world in that way. Now, it is a fair point to make that a lot of therapists suck. A lot of them do. That's true. But that doesn't mean that all therapists are bad. Bill M here, proud and confident nerd, greater than sad Wojak nerd. That's exactly right. Again, what did we say at the beginning? You got to work on your confidence, man. Anyone can be confident. You don't need to look a certain way to be confident. You don't need to have the best clothes to be confident. You don't need to be at a certain weight to be confident. Why you cannot trust doctors in general. I'm reading a manual, YouTube. I don't agree with this. Regulators are there to please politicians and lobbyists. It's not actually in their own best interest to enforce actual evidence-based medicine. So this manual is the evidence-based medicine. Okay. Politicians are mostly interested in pleasing their voters and donors and can absolutely not be trusted with any medical decision whatsoever. Well, that's correct, actually. Is that real? I don't watch American Horror Story. See, Gabs, you know this stuff more than I do. Do not let anyone gatekeep you from transitioning. You may be in doubt and thus ask people close to you or a gender clinic, should you transition? Are you allowed to? Is this not a good idea? It's very unlikely anyone close to you has a proper understanding of the consequences that come with transitioning, but the pros and cons will be for you. If a family of origin is transphobic, just boy mode and leave. You don't need them in your life if they become negative for you. Well, now she's paying me, so that's good. If you create a weapon to marginalize beta men, you can't claim it's their fault. You only have to see feminism translated into public policy. I have no idea what that means, girl. I have no idea what that means at all. But I do know that I've lived life, and I do know I've been married for 11 years, and I married the normal guy who was once a geek in school. And I do know that if all you do is spend all day on the internet, you're going to have a really distorted view of how the world really works. I don't care if you've been on a TV show or not. Oh, is she? She can complain all she likes. Gabs, how old is she? How old is she? Is she tagging me at least? I'm so scared. I'm so scared of you, sweetheart. What are you going to do? You're going to send a Twitter mob after me? Is that what's going to happen, honey? I'm going to get tweets. I'm going to get mean tweets. You think I have never gotten mean tweets in my life? You think I haven't had mean people say mean things on the internet about me? 44? Older than me. You're 44? You're 44 and you're posturing on YouTube about and Twitter about how fucking powerful you are? Grow up. Grow up. Things I cannot believe that I have to fucking say. What the hell is wrong with the world? It's very unlikely anyone close to you has a proper understanding of the consequences that come with transitioning, what the pros and cons will be for you. If your family of origin is transphobic, we already went over that, sorry. You have the right to rule over your own body. Don't let any doctor or patient take the right away from you. If you cannot get an official prescription in time, just order online. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I'm learning that, Gabs. I'm learning that very, very quickly. If she wants to keep paying me, though, I'm not displaying Amazon Eve. I'm not displaying any more of your chats on the screen or arguing with you at all unless you continue to pay me. We're going to play that game. That's enough attention for you, honey. HRT reduces distress, trapped in the wrong body. Denial and paranoia among repressors. I have noticed that a lot of individuals unwilling to transition become paranoid, thinking everyone is trying to manipulate them into transitioning. If you have transitioned yourself, they will think she's just trying to recruit me to the trans cult. I don't think anyone thinks that. Does anyone actually think that? If you have not transitioned yourself, they will think, why isn't he following his own advice? Okay, so this is basically saying that if someone comes to you and said, hey, you know what'll help you get sex? Transitioning. They're saying that that person probably should have transitioned themselves before they give out that advice. Factors to consider before transitioning. There are many factors to consider. How functional is your life now as a male? How is your sex life? Is there any real hope for you improving your situation while not transitioning? And would it be a level of improvement you'd be satisfied with? When was the last time you got sex without outright paying for it? Then you compare that to how your life would be as a trans girl. Would it be an improvement for you? Are you willing and able to have children if you stay male? Would you be able to pass as female? Oh my God. If you are not happy with your life, transitioning your gender is not going to fix the problem unless you actually have gender dysphoria. And even then, there's a whole other set of consequences, but I can understand it for people who are legitimately trans. I cannot understand this for people who just want to get sex. Like, you are going to make yourself a permanent medical patient to get sex for the rest of your life? Guys, do you understand? And I'm suspecting that a lot of this is probably like younger men. Do you guys understand that life is really long? This is like, you know what this is? This is like when my mother lectured me about getting a tattoo when I was 18. She's like, "No, you're going to have to live with that tattoo for the rest of your life. You wouldn't make the same decision on that tattoo when you're older." And guess what? She was right. And I got my first tattoo when I was 22 years old, and it's a tramp stamp, and I hate it now, and I can't get rid of it. I suppose I could, but I do regret that tattoo that I got when I was 22. It's not the worst in the world. There are far worse tattoos than my tattoo. But I grew up and I got better tattoos because your positions on things change as you get older. And it's the same with this. I understand that if you are a young man, like 18, 19, 20, you're in your sexual prime, but you're not getting laid because you've mind fucked yourself into believing that you can't get laid. I understand that this might seem like a tempting thing. You're like, I only lived through my sexual prime once. I want to have sex. But you're going to have to live with that decision for the rest of your life. And you might not make the same decision at 30 or 40 or 50 that you made when you were younger. And by the way, your brain doesn't fully develop its logic reason function until you are in your early to mid 20s. So you might not even have the logic function of your brain yet. What happens if you make a permanent medical decision without having the logic function of your brain fully developed, and then around 25 it kicks in and you're like, oh shit? If you don't like your life, if you're not satisfied with how your life is as a man, then you need to first try to change your life. You need to get new friends. You need to make any friends. You need to get out of the house. You need to go be with people in the real world. Go to meetup.com, join a group, go play some board games, go play card games, go play poker, go bowling, go to the gym. I don't know. There are any number of things that you can do to go meet people. But if you want to change your life, most commonly what you need to do is change the people you're surrounding yourself with. Because if you can surround yourself with a new group of people, that in and of itself could change your life. And stop doubting that you have the ability to do this. Is that going to result in sex right away? Well, maybe, maybe not. But isn't getting out from behind the computer and going meeting people in the real world, isn't that like a better option than gender transition? I don't understand this at all. Naruto says, here's an idea, 1619 review series on Substack. Oh my god, like I need another Substack like I need a hole in my head, Naruto, but thank you for the suggestion. I'll think about it. Sin says, does paying for it mean taking the girl out to dinner? Rules seem to have changed since I dated. I have no idea, Sin. I don't know. Which American Horror Story was she in? I watched some of them. I don't remember her, though. And she's kind of a bitch, and so I don't really care that much, but... Yes, there's dozens of single lonely women at the opera. Go take a ballet class. You want to be surrounded by women? Go take a ballet class. Go take a dance class. Go to where the women are. Go take a pottery class. Go take a painting class. Go pick up a craft of some sort. Take up knitting. There are men that knit. You would be surrounded by people, by women. You would have knitting would be a great hobby. You'd be able to make stuff for girls, give it to them as gifts. Like when you go to knitting circles, you just sit around and talk. You'd be talking to women all the time. Do anything in the New Age scene. Go join the Church of Satan with Bill. You want sex? Go join the fucking Church of Satan. Bet you can find sex there. I bet you can. There are any number of solutions to this problem that are not this. The dating market is changing. Old studies are misleading, since what was true 10 years ago no longer holds. A lot of people today begin to transition early, making it far easier to integrate with the other sex. Now it's significantly harder to date as a heterosexual male. The transman dating pool is a lot bigger, making it easier to date as a gynophiliac trans female. Being transgender is now far more acceptable socially. Dating an androphiliac female is a lot easier. Dating as a trans female. Bill says, hang on, this is, oh, not that. Well, sex isn't a guarantee in the Church of Satan membership, but I'd be lying if I'd said I had no success with it. I bet you have, Bill. If you become attractive as trans girl, you will be able to date cis and trans individuals as of both genders. Some trans girls that improve their dating lives believe that this is just because they are happier now being the gender they want to be. And while that may be a small factor, a far bigger factor is the overall dating situation for males and females. Having to compete just to get sex at all is a heterosexual male thing. It's not really a thing among trans girls, but then instead, loads of males are going to outdo each other trying to get into your pants, and there will not be any shortage of guys wanting to date you, even if you are not attractive at all. The fact that you will now be able to at least get sex does, of course, not guarantee that you will be able to find a partner that's actually good for you. It's especially hard to find good males. Then don't transition in the first place and just date like normal people. I feel like I feel like I shouldn't be yelling, but I'm honestly blown away at this. You're going to tell me that in a time when college girls are doing this social justice thing where they are completely open about sex all the time, when they're excited about bragging about how many people they've had sex with, when they don't have the conservative mentality when it comes to sex. You're telling me when they cut off their hair to look crazy and dye it crazy colors and all this stuff, you're telling me you can't get one of them to sleep with you? If it's really just about sex, bro, come on. Murphy's Pool, why don't these guys just get a dog and a lot of peanut? Murphy's Pool. As ever. As ever. Yeah, I think this is it, Vince. Carlin, the reason you want to yell is because this article shows just how upside down the world has become before our very eyes. If you instead just date other trans girls, you will be able to find someone of similar attractiveness. If you live in a highly populated area, the transbian dating pool will be big enough for you to find a matching partner close to you. Otherwise, you might have to travel or online only. Da-da-da. Just scrolling through, guys. We're doing a little bit of an overview today. Breastfeeding. Oh, I'm not reading that on the internet. I'll tell you that right now. What does it mean to be female? We're not even halfway through this manual. Jen says, how about we start a dating app called a physical bar to introduce incels to femcells? They could have a lot in common. Jen, I think that's a great idea. I think that that is a fantastic idea. I think that that is exactly and precisely what should be done. Trans women have way better sex than Chad. If you want to have some carefree, kinky fun, you should look to date other trans girls. They'll be as horny and fucked up as you are. Just take a look at the various not safe for work trans subreddits to get a glimpse. If you want to get free stuff out of the relationship, look for a chaser. But make sure you find one who isn't a cheapskate. They love to spoil their dick girl princesses. If you want love and stability, look for a bi guy. Some chasers are also keepers, but only the ones who are out for everyone, including their family. If they aren't, you will always be a side bitch to them. I have a PhD, and when I got my PhD, I was not envisioning reading stuff like this live on the internet. So I just want to thank you all for being a part of this journey. Sometimes life takes you in interesting directions. Male hormones are responsible in part for the refractory period and making orgasms localized in the penis. You know how it feels because you are on them. It feels like a distortion of going to urinate, then semen comes out. There is no real pleasure to be had from penis stimulation on testosterone. It is also way better to get fucked in the ass than to fuck someone yourself. That is absolutely going to get clipped and put on the internet. You will get multiple full body orgasms, nothing like the lame, unfulfilling orgasm you get from PNV sex. You will find out that all expectations about how awesome it is to get fucked are true. You can already try it out via a dildo, or just ask yourself how much better it will be once you start on female hormones and get fucked by a real pulsating dick. So glad I went to graduate school. So glad. Jen says, also the sad part about this article is that it could also perpetuate the detransitioner stories that are already happening noticeably around the world. Indeed, Jen. Indeed. I appreciate the super chat. Some NATO women are willing to try sex with trans girls, but most likely you will not be close to sexually compatible, and she may not accept you enjoying yourself with other trans women. Imagine finally giving up your remaining dignity as his penis is about to enter your body. You will eventually start moaning as he fucks you, but estrogen has made you weaker, and you are now powerless to resist. Your prostate will be pounded, and you will experience multiple full body orgasms. What the fuck am I reading? I cannot. This is a sexual fetish. This is a sexual fetish. This is not about trans. This is a sexual fetish. And there's nothing wrong with having fetishes, folks. I'm not kink shaming here. I don't really care. Transmaxing works even if you do not improve your personality. There was a horrifying post I saw ages ago about a cis lesbian cohabitating with their LT trans girlfriend and snooped their computer, apologizing profusely for invading their privacy, etc. Sweet kind of girl. Literally found their not so old incel posts about how they were dating an ugly lesbian, but were looking forward to leveling up to a hotter one. She was horrified and blaming herself. I couldn't believe what I was reading. She was already forgiving her. If anyone knows the post I'm talking about, please post it. It still keeps me up at nights. Why do you refuse to take any personal responsibility, Amazon Eve? I'm honestly curious. Why do you personally, not men, not women, not whatever gender identity you are. I have no idea who you are. I'm sure that's impossible for you to understand, being that you were on a TV show that no one really watches. Why don't you want to take personal responsibility for your life? Why are you encouraging other people to not take any personal responsibility for their life and their circumstance? It strikes me, Amazon Eve, that in order to get on a TV show, you had to, I don't know, go audition for it, or you had to go get an agent, or you had to do any number of things that led to you being on a TV show. So I know that you understand on some level what is required to take personal responsibility for your life when you have a goal. And guess what? Getting on a fucking TV show is a lot harder than finding someone to have sex with. Infinitely harder. So why aren't you instead helping the young men who see gender transition as their only way to get sex to understand how to personally empower themselves and make positive changes in their life so they can get women? Why aren't you teaching them about personal responsibility? Why aren't you teaching them that there are certain things that you need to do in order to get girls, and one of the things you need to do is leave your fucking computer? You understand this on some level. So you can obfuscate and deflect all you want, but you're not helping anyone when you do it. When you have a higher SMV than your partner, you end up with power over your partner. You always have the option of leaving for someone more attractive, while your partner would end up with someone less attractive, if anyone at all. Your personality is just one of many factors. You can get away with having an unattractive personality if other traits are desired. Well, I can see this is definitely a manual for long-term relationship success. When you potentially offer things of great value, such as a really nice body to have sex with, other people will be the one needing to improve their personalities and social skills to get you. You should never ask yourself if you really want to adopt a fake personality in an attempt to attract females. It's not even clear what the ideal personality is, and constantly playing a role you don't want to play is not good for your mental health. In reality, well, you don't say. You don't say. You don't say that not playing a role, or excuse me, you don't say that playing a role that you don't want to play is not good for your mental health. Who would have thunk it? Kind of like transitioning when you're not trans just because you think you're going to get laid. A lot of males that struggle with dating due to mental illness would be able to get a good dating life via medical transition. It's a lot easier to make the body more attractive than trying to cure mental illness. Don't expect too much from psychiatry or therapists. Oh, I can already tell how this is going to go. Some people need a male to take care of them. Not everyone can be successful and independent, and some people need to just be subservient to a master. They exist to be used and give pleasure to other people. This will be the end station for some individuals that transition from male to female. Better than hopelessness, I suppose. You will be spanked when you have been a bad girl and rewarded when you've been a good girl. Some people just need to give their useless pride the thing with self-respect, and making their own money didn't work out. And the only thing that is left now is your body will be used by someone else. You better get used to having sex with a male because that's all you'll get now. Holy shit. I cannot even. Honey, I didn't even know who you were until an hour ago. I muted Carlin after she tried to invalidate me in my work. With her sign language, shame, insult, guilt need to be right. You muted me? I didn't even know who you were until you showed up bombing my chat. Well done, Sin. How to extract resources from men. You need to go through divorce legislation in your country to examine what's required to divorce. I'm not going to say that word. Him. Prenup written can be invalidated. Make him think you two are a team together. Manipulate him into taking action that will be good for you later once you dump that loser. I cannot. I fucking cannot. I cannot. All right, guys. Oh, good. There's a section on sex work. I was about to move on to the video, but since we've run into the section on sex work, let's take a look. Literally impossible. Literally. Sex work. Why work a boring job when you can get paid to be sexually humiliated in many ways? Sex work allows you to turn a humiliation fetish into a profession. The advantage with the clear, honest exchange is that it gives the male far more power over her via his money. She will have to participate in his sick perversions or she will not get any money. The more money he offers, the harder it will be for her to resist. While it is humiliating to participate in porn or prostitution, other forms of works are more disgusting and pays far less. Long-term relationships are often just glorified prostitution, where the females get resources in exchange for sex that she may still enjoy. Generally, prostitution goes against social norms, which is why the nature of the exchange is hidden behind marriage, sermons, and romance Bullshit. So we're teaching important life lessons in the manual about transitioning your gender to get sex, even if you aren't trans. Sex work that involves you physically meeting other individuals do come with risks, in addition to the possibility of being harmed, you get STDs, blah, blah, blah. How to attract a Chad. What's true when interacting with normal males stops being true when you try to attract elite males in terms of attractiveness. These males have other options, and thus you need to treat them well, or they will go for someone else. Yes, you should probably fake your personality. Most males cannot tell. Wear sexy outfits in public and take good pictures of yourself to use for online dating. Your strategy should be to hook him by being submissive and letting him use you as a toy. He is the only one having power over you by virtue of just being really attractive. It doesn't matter that you don't need his money. Figure out what he's into and let him get that. Do not expect or demand that he provide services to you. If you need money that badly, you should focus on other males that lack better options. The only reason not to let a Chad fuck you when you are an androprophilic is the STI risk. Anal sex is the most risky form of sex, and it's also a bit messy. He needs to be tested regularly if he's also having sex with other girls. You can still please him by giving him a hand job. You might also want to give him some gifts, not before getting his BWC. Of course, what is BWC? I don't want to know. Can someone tell me what that means? I'm guessing cock is the last word. Michael, welcome to the channel as a member. I appreciate it. You've joined on an interesting day. Oh, big white. Well, why are they assuming it's white? Seems a little racist to me to assume that it's white. As you become more attractive by taking hormones and having the right surgeries, you will be able to attract males of a higher quality. You might think you will never attract the male of your dreams, but 1 year later, you might have his dick in your ass. I have a PhD. What's going through my head right now is I've misstepped somewhere on my life choices. I've misstepped. I could be doing a sweet, cushy training gig right now in a fancy corporation that's paying me thousands of dollars just to go and talk to them for the day. I could be doing that. I could be out having a nice martini, which is always my tradition after I did a corporate training gig, is I would go out and get a extra dirty martini with blue cheese stuffed olives, Belvedere vodka, obviously. But no, this is where my choices have led me. Let that be a lesson to all of you. All right, guys, that is enough of that manual for right now. But what I do want to do is I would like to watch some of this video with the writer of the manual talking about it. So we have this one right here, Transmaxxing interview with another journalist. That's the newest one.
Yes, I hear you.
And again, the person that wrote this has a very thick German accent, so it might be a little difficult to hear, but or to understand, but I want us to give it a try. I'm going to turn on captions, see if that works. Let's listen to the discussion about transmaxing with the person who wrote the manual talking to a journalist.
Oh, I just heard you briefly. Did you say you can hear me, or is it still not?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, sorry about that. I've had a kind of stressful traveling day. Okay, so I talked to Kat for about an hour earlier this week.
I did.
And we had an interesting conversation. One of the things that came out in the conversation, though, is that she is kind of convinced that transmaxing and transhumanism have a significant overlap. But she suggested that you don't agree with that view, or that's not sort of a term that you might use to describe transmaxing rather.
The thing is that I'm not really comfortable just going on board with that ideology. I have not really researched it, what it really means, but from what I heard, it's not really something I feel like I should push from my limited reading about it. But I'm not sure exactly what transhumanism even means. But I don't really like relying a lot of technology and becoming dependent on it for our survival. I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, let's say for example.
I only really got fragments of your response. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say for example you get an artificial heart and you connect it to the internet.
He just compared transitioning to getting an artificial heart. All right.
And what might then happen is that someone hacks your artificial heart and kills you because it's digital. So I don't think you want to rely on technology too much. You want to make sure that even if technology fails, you can still live on.
About that. So what is this, the artificial heart? I don't think I got, is that sort of on transhumanism?
Yeah.
Skepticism about transhumanism, or?
Yeah, that's just one example of how it can go wrong. There's also many examples of it, even in video games. For example, of server system Redux is a good case against transhumanism. If you have played that game or even watch a video about it, you can see how badly it can go when you go too far that route.
Yeah, I mean, well, I should say the audio is still cutting out a little bit, so I'm not sure I got all of that, but it seems like if transhumanism is just, it depends, I guess, on how we define it, right? But if it's just using technology to somehow advance or extend human life, then it might not necessarily involve, I mean, it could be using a bicycle on some level as a form of transhumanism.
Yeah,
to the extent that it
but that's not what people mean by it. It's typical stuff
right,
merging with technology, uploading your consciousness and stuff like that. Or the Elon Musk idea with Neuralink, which is total insanity, by the way. If you just look into it, it's really, really bad.
Yeah. But so, I mean, to the extent that the transmaxing is kind of using hormones and it's using medical technology.
Yeah, but the hormones are natural human hormones. You work just with your normal biology. And while it is true that if you stop the hormones, you will become masculine again if you are MTF. It's not like you will die or anything. You're not super dependent on it. You can survive without it. You might just affect your appearance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to know more though about why you wanted to start. Well, I guess, I mean, you put together the manifesto, right?
Yeah, if you're asking about my motivation, it's kind of complicated, and I cannot give you an easy answer. But of course, I want to help people build this community to change the world for the better. I was interested in politics for a really long time, but I wasn't really able to change anything. But at least now I am able to have an impact, and I'm glad for that at least. but and also I do think the trans community had problems and still have to some extent. So I wanted to make something better.
So I got that you are glad to have an impact. I heard that. And that maybe you were involved in politics for a while, but that this is, it's kind of, I sort of get like half of this. One thing that interests me is who do you think are, do you think that the only people who would benefit from transmaxing are people who already experience dysphoria? Or is there a possibility that someone who
No,
does
I
not
don't
experience-
think you need dysphoria to benefit from transitioning.
So the question was just asked, and I know it's a little bit harder to hear, so we're kind of making do right now. I want to listen to a little bit of this. The question was just asked, do you think you need gender dysphoria in order to transition? And the answer is no, I don't think you need dysphoria to benefit from transitioning. I'm sorry, what? Why?
Yeah.
I think it might be that
But
most
so,
people with
yeah.
dysphoria don't benefit from it though. It is like hard to tell because we don't really have the studies on that.
And what do you think is the sort of the profile of, if there is a general profile of someone who might benefit, if it's not dysphoria? Because I think the sense I got from Kat is that many people, in her opinion, people who don't have dysphoria but do pursue transition for sort of transmax reasons will eventually find out they have dysphoria. But it sounds like you might not have that position.
I mean, we don't really have many people here who didn't have dysphoria, so we don't really have like much to go on. But like, if you live a really bad life as a male, let's say for example you're homeless, like really low social status, really bad life, like then you don't really have much to lose by transitioning. Like if let's say, or you have like a job, but you don't have any girlfriend, you don't have like no social life. Like if you and your job is really bad, like in these cases, what do you have to lose by like gambling on a transition?
Yeah, I mean, so it's basically like a last resort, it sounds like, for some people, where if you've tried other things and you're still not able to maybe get a girlfriend or, you know, build a community or otherwise integrate yourself into society, this might be an option.
Yeah, the issue is that it's kind of time limited too, because for the HOT to be effective, you need to start early. But then you don't really have time to try everything first. You need to like make a decision. Are you going to like keep trying to fix your life as a male, or are you going to instead try transitioning? Because once you have like failed totally and completed as a male, you probably will not be able to pass. So this may be an issue with that idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure I caught the end of that, but is it that if you don't transition by a certain age, it becomes more difficult to pass? Is that the idea?
Yeah, and if
They're encouraging people to transition as young as possible because once you get to a certain age, it's just harder to transition and pass as a female. And again, I want to make this very clear. If you are legitimately trans, I don't care if you transition. Makes no difference to me at all. Go live your best life. I hope you're happy. I genuinely mean that. I don't have an issue with trans people. What I have an issue with is adults convincing young men that the only way they can get sex is to transition. And really, the younger the better that you do this, because if you wait too long to transition, you might not be able to pass as a girl. So you better start young, you know, before the logic function of your brain actually develops.
if you then like try everything fast, it will be too late then to pass the station.
Yeah, because I get.
Yeah, you cut out.
Because I mean, what if you don't pass? Then I guess you kind of don't. Would you say like the transition sort of doesn't really provide the benefits that it otherwise would?
Yeah, it can even be detrimental. You don't get as nice as a body, so you might not like your own appearance as much, and you will have a harder time dating, and you will have a harder time socially. So you will lose out a lot of benefits by not doing an early transition. It's harder to justify later on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that when I sort of found the Transmaxxing Manifesto and talked to my editor about wanting to write about sort of the philosophy behind it and stuff, he didn't think it was. He sort of thought that it was. He didn't think that it was something that people actually do. But it seems from talking to you and Kat and some people.
Her editor, when she first found this manifesto, her editor said, or really thought this was not something that people actually do.
There were people who have actually transitioned for transmaxxing. Do you know anyone who's transitioned who actually like said who's sort of forthright about the fact that they might not have experienced dysphoria beforehand or something along those lines?
I'm not going to mention anyone, but there are.
Oh yeah, not by name. I'm just curious.
Yeah, there are. I have come across it in this server. It's not that common. Most people who show up here have like dysphoria.
Well, that's comforting at least.
Yeah, most people who show up here had dysphoria. So they are like looking here because they don't want to bullshit up other spaces because.
Do they have dysphoria or are they autogynephiliacs? How is this person assessing that they have dysphoria? Because they say they do? I have questions.
Like in here, so in this server, we have like people who know a lot about HRT and how to effectively transition. We don't really care too much about like the mainstream ideology about it. So people like it for that reason mostly, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that stood out to me. I mean, there's a bunch of things that stood out to me in the manifesto, but one of them was that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems that the manifesto sort of advises pursuing, not necessarily pursuing medical transition through institutional channels, like not necessarily. I mean, maybe you would eventually get diagnosed with gender dysphoria, but potentially procuring hormones through other channels and not necessarily trusting therapists.
Yeah,
it seems like now there's a whole.
Yeah, I'm not like saying that you should like go to a doctor. It kind of depends on
he literally
if
does.
you have like a good endocrinologist and you like what your doctor does and you like get the hormone therapy that works for you, then of course you can do that. But what I discovered was that a lot of people, when they try to go the official channel, they need to either wait for years, and even if they get it, they might not get the hormone therapy that is like best for them. Like a lot of doctors don't want to do monotherapy. They instead want to prescribe a lower dosage of oral estradiol and antiandrogens, which is at least long term not the best option. You want to eventually switch to probably injections with and only do injection, not taking antiandrogens, because that's the safest and most effective method. but a lot of doctors haven't adopted that yet, and this is a big problem. So even if you find someone official, it might not be a good doctor. But I don't really know how good the official channels are because I don't really have too many people talking about it. So it just depends on if you find someone good, it might be the best way, but if you cannot get access to that, which might be very difficult, you need to go do it. There are like some sites that sell HOT without prescription. That might be an option for you. Or if you have a prescription, might be able to order it online that way.
Bro, you might think this is all fun and games, but there are people that are going to take this seriously, and there are people that are going to seriously fuck up their lives because of this. So I don't care that I read porn on the fucking internet. It wasn't even good porn to begin with. I'm sure someone probably got off on it somewhere, but it wasn't even good porn to begin with. And if you think that someone fucking up their life because they got involved with a community like this is less important than Carlin read sissy porn on the internet. Grow up. The world would be a better place if the internet imploded overnight. Blair White is a cunt. I said it. I'm not sorry about it. Yes, she is. She needs to go to therapy as well. Not because she's trans, because she's a bitch. All right, guys. On that note, I said what I said. I'm not sorry about it. I need to go. I need to just take a moment, okay? I need to take a moment. But we are going to come. Oh, really? Oh, I just projected? Oh, you just got blocked. Goodbye. We will be convening for a private call in my community in T-minus 13 minutes. The way you get access to my private community Zooms, if you would like to discuss this topic further or bitch and complain and vent about what we just sat through for the last 1 hour and 46 minutes, the best way to do that is by becoming a member of either my locals or my Patreon. Members of locals and members of Patreon. I haven't figured out how to do this for Substack yet. I apologize. I have some ideas for that for supporters on Substack that want to get in on it. But if you are in my locals, kb.locals.com/support, or my Patreon, patreon.com/unwoke. Links are in the description below. For just head over to activelyunwoke.com/support. I will be sending out a Zoom link very soon, and we will be convening at 7 p.m. Eastern time for our private, unrecorded community Zoom call where I'm gonna have some feelings. I'm sure some of you will have some feelings as well. We will work through those feelings together. All right, guys. What a way to start off the week. I will also be doing a write-up, a full and complete write-up on this Transmaxxing manual on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. And please subscribe if you haven't already, whether you're a paid subscriber or a free subscriber. That'd be pretty great. And I'm doing very regular posts on my Actively Unwoke Substack right now. So I'll be doing a write-up on this manual there. And yeah. All right, guys, take care. Mount that like button on your way out the door, and we will see you tomorrow at 5.